Hello again, and welcome back to Pokémon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. We still have a long way to go, having only acquired 1 out of the 8 gym badges, but according to this NPC, the Rustboro gym badge is apparently the coolest looking, so we never have to worry about never actually acquiring a better looking badge ever in this entire playthrough. Isn't that nice? After leaving the Rustboro gym, there's apparently some action going on already, but we're going to completely ignore it for the time being because I need to actually go and heal my Pokémon at the Pokémon Center. I mean, sure, it might be more proactive to actually go after the people in need of help, but I gotta worry about my own health as well. Or at least the health of my Pokémon. I don't actually know if the player characters get exhausted in these battles. I certainly would. I mean, the Pokémon have to actually fight, but watching it can be exhausting too, am I right? Well, we've got a new route, which means more items, more trainers to fight, and more Pokémon to capture. Now, I want to explain something interesting that the Advanced Generation did. So, for trainers that can actually change which direction they are looking at, if the player runs in the vicinity of the trainer, they will actually turn to face wherever the player was running to. If you walk, however, it is actually possible to slip past their vision because they don't turn to face you as quickly. So it's almost like there's a stealth element to this. It's a pretty neat detail, but in any case, onto some captures. This is Whismur. I do not like Whismur whatsoever. I just don't see what the point of this Pokemon is. They have a move called Uproar that can apparently cause the Uproar effect. I don't even know what this effect does, and I've been playing these games for a good long while. I know it wastes time for the speedrunners, but let's move on. This is Nincada. Nincada is a very interesting Pokemon to evolve, so I'll be sure to take care of that when I have some time to level up. It's very, very interesting what happens when Nincada evolves. Kind of a little annoying, too, if you don't know about it. But we'll save that for later. I sure wish I had evolved mine, I'll just say that much. Now, unfortunately, they did not get rid of that annoying and ridiculously low chance encounter mechanic from Gold, Silver, and Crystal. This is Skitty, and Skitty has a 2% chance to appear on this route if a swarm is not occurring. That's right, the swarms are back. This time they're not handled by phone calls where you have to get the number of a very specific trainer in order for it to even happen. No, no, no. You need to be paying attention to the televisions in people's houses in order to know when a swarm is occurring, and there is a mechanism for passing on swarms to other players. So, that's kind of an interesting twist on the swarm mechanic. Oh, and Skitty also has the ability to infatuate other Pokemon if they make contact with it. So, that's pretty funny. What an adorable little kitty. Also, we have another double trainer ambush exclusively in Emerald version. These only occur in Emerald, and I like taking them on. You could take these two on one at a time if you just talk to them before the fight starts, but with 2 Pokemon out at the same time, it's far easier to raise a partner for your starter Pokemon. I like doing that. There are more of these in Emerald version as well, which you might be getting the impression at this point that Emerald is simply a far more polished and superior game to Ruby and Sapphire, and I don't disagree. Part of this playthrough's purpose is a direct comparison of Ruby and Sapphire to Emerald version as well, to see what changed. Speaking of changes, in these early encounters with Team Magma and Aqua, you will be mostly facing off with Team Aqua in Sapphire and Emerald versions. In Pokemon Ruby, the guy that you chase into this upcoming cave will be from Team Magma. And this guy apparently had one of his Pokemon get captured by a Team Magma grunt, which I don't know how you can do that. You would have to, physically restrain the Pokemon and it's not going to listen to you, and I'm completely ignoring this man's plight to pick up an X Special and put on a Repel before I go in the cave. The cave is completely full of Whismur. I do not want to run into any. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry, actually. Keeping the vermin away is one of the uses of a Repel, and there's just a Pokeball sitting there. I don't know why there are so many, common, regular items. Was that an attempt to intimidate me? Complete failure. Only Pokemon can intimidate me. Not much of a hostage, I guess. It's just a Wingull. How did you restrain a Wingull? It can fly. You grabbed it, apparently dragged it into the... I'm done worrying about all this stuff. This guy is just another grunt with a Poochyena. His team does not change in any of the versions. Though it is kind of annoying to be dealing with Sand Attack yet again. Well, I'll just quick attack him and we'll be done with this shortly. He doesn't even launch any actual attacks, just Sand Attack and Howling. I won't repeat the joke I did with the Poochyena from the previous video. But hey, Trico has hit level 16, and that means he learns Pursuit for one thing. Pursuit is a Dark-type move, very interesting to have one this early in. Should one of your opponents try to switch their Pokemon, Pursuit will inflict damage before the opposing Pokemon is able to switch out. I cannot think of a single trainer in this game that actually switches out their Pokemon unless they have no ability to actually inflict damage, so this is probably just a multiplayer thing. Ah, but hitting level 16 means something else, don't you know? Yes, it is now standard for the starters to reach their second evolutionary stage at level 16. None of that weird Cyndaquil evolving to Quilava at level 14, that was so weird. Anyway, this is Grovyle. He's kinda nice. I mean, I still prefer the water and fire starters, but, you know. He learns Fury Cutter as well. That's interesting. It feels like I got 2 moves in one level, which I kinda did. Fury Cutter is fine, I guess. I know Trico is supposed to be the fast, speedy attacker, but like Fury Cutter, if you could get multiple hits in one turn, that would be really, really good. Yeah, I won't lie, I wanted to use Fury Cutter in today's video. I thought there was a situation where it would be really useful, but it just turned out that it wasn't, so, you know, that's unfortunate, but we got the goods back from that guy, and we also saved a single Wingull. We are a hero, apparently. But we can't move on with the cave because there are rocks in the way. We're gonna have to come back with yet another HM, so we'll be back. Maybe more than once. That Goofy Goon, Goofy Goon, that's funny. He called him a Goofy Goon. Anyways, moving on to the Sapphire playthrough because we haven't seen much of it yet. After defeating another trainer, it's time for Mudkip to evolve, and this is one of the reasons Mudkip is probably the game's best starter, because when Mudkip evolves, it becomes Marshtomp, which is a water/ground type, and it learns a really great ground move. Like, you just eliminated the electricity weakness. Thank you very much. But also, we are now double weak to grass, so we're going to have to find a way around that, or else Grovyle is going to crush Marshtomp like crazy. But yeah, Mudshot. Much more powerful than Mudslap, and probably just as accurate. It doesn't come with an accuracy drop, but spending an entire move just to drop the enemy's accuracy, not something I like doing anyways. So, I will take it. Now then, what else are we doing here? Well, we're apparently returning to the city where we are stopped in our tracks yet again and forced to return these goods instead of stealing them. Don't you just love the illusion of choice? What's that? We got a Great Ball for it? I think most people would return the goods anyways. And now we just get invited to the penthouse floor of this building. I don't think it is an actual penthouse, but now we're going on a delivery mission because, of course, these guys, with their fancy corporations, they just can't hire anybody but the 10-year-old kid that they technically don't have to pay due to child labor laws. And now we are being forcibly escorted a few short feet in order to talk to the president of a corporation. I don't like this whatsoever. The last time that happened, I got forced into running their errands for them. And, of course, they're going to make us not only deliver the goods to the next city over, but we also have to deliver a letter to a certain someone in a certain village. What they don't tell us is that these villages are overseas, and they don't provide us with any sort of transportation. But we do get the Pokénav, which is this game's version of the Pokégear from Gold, Silver, and Crystal. And it has a couple of features that only appear in Emerald version. Like I said, Emerald version can easily be thought of as the more polished and superior version. I mean, here in Emerald version, they actually decided to heal us here just to save us a visit to the Pokemon Center. Of course, this will make you very upset if you are a no Pokemon Center challenge player. Anyways, the Pokénav has some really neat features in it. It actually has a nice looking town map with maps of individual towns like you'd expect a town map to actually have. So we'll be headed to Dewford Town, but we're going to need some kind of transportation. Now, I know I've made it look like Emerald version is superior to Ruby and Sapphire. However, there is one feature in Emerald version that will shatter that illusion for all of you, and it is coming up right here. They decided to add something to Emerald version that probably should have been left on the cutting room floor. An added feature for the Pokénav, it is a phone call system. Yeah, The phone calls from Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Those were so fabulous back then. They just decided, oh hey, they should be an Emerald version too. So now you can get constantly interrupted on your journey with ridiculous phone calls from random trainers you met on the street. Maybe call them for a rematch every now and again. And you can't skip this tutorial. Ugh. Well, you know, I won't worry about it, I guess. I guess it is nice to get calls from other trainers. Like, all that talk I do about immersion in the Pokemon games, this should add to the immersion, I guess. In Ruby and Sapphire version, I'm pretty sure that the Pokénav will allow you to see who's ready for a rematch, if anybody is. It has been so long since I checked out that feature. Oh boy. I know what's coming. You see your rival out on the road, and that can mean only one thing. Well, maybe if I sneak around very quietly... Darn it, I've been spotted, with the exclamation mark and everything. Alert phase, 99 seconds. Alright, I will get your phone number. But remember, it's you that's asking me, not the other way around, May. Wait a minute. Wait, what? What happens if I say no? Oh my goodness, the rival asks for a rematch, and you can refuse it? I can just walk away? Emerald version, I love you! Of course, in Ruby and Sapphire, this rematch just didn't exist. So you had to wait a while before your actual unskippable rematch with a rival. But hey, you know, I'll go for it. This is only an Emerald version, so I'm not going to show all 3 versions of this fight. First up, we have a Lotad. I think this changes depending on what starter May got, so it will be the Torchic version of the fight. So I have no idea what the Mudkip and Trico versions are going to be like. Alright, so this Lotad just has Astonish. That's not interesting at all, but I'm actually going to use a Super Potion to heal before Torchic comes out. Because one thing that I am pleased about, all things considered, is that the rival most definitely serves the purpose of drilling it into your head that you need Pokemon other than the starter in order to win, because in all versions of this playthrough, whether you've picked Trico, Mudkip, or Torchic, the rival starter can actually mess you up pretty bad if, like, you have only been training your own starter. Even though, like, the rival starter has not been evolved at this point, I think it's 1 level off. Yeah, level 15. So, I was thinking, you know, who can I switch to on this team in order to be able to resist Torchic's attacks better? I've got a Lotad, but the Water Grass typing only cancels out the super effectiveness of the fire moves. It doesn't resist. So I have to get a little bit lucky here. This Ember took out half my health, so I was, like, really scared. Damage variance means that I should be able to just eke out a win here by using a Pursuit and then a Quick Attack. Or maybe a Quick Attack and then I switch to, like... Well, I don't need a Quick Attack because I'm going first, but I got exceedingly lucky here. The Magic Pixel of 1 health. And even though this Pursuit doesn't finish the job, I can still finish the job with Ralts. So that's good. I got some experience on Ralts as well. By the way, in case anyone's confused, Pursuit is considered a special attack because of the whole types determine whether an attack is physical or special. It's not based on the individual attack until Generation 4. So that can make playing this maybe just a teensy bit confusing because you're not sure if your dark attacks are going to be physical or special or what have you, but Pursuit is special, and I figured Torchic would have less special defense. I don't have these things memorized, but hey. We just beat May, and in all versions, May will inform you that Mr. Briny, who we saved his Wingull from that Team Aqua Grunt, he is now willing to transport us to Dewford Town, which is the next town, with his boat, which is pretty awesome. It conveniently solving the problem of our transportation issue. We just have to head down to the dock, and we'll be on our way. Still kind of strange that the massive corporation doesn't provide you with transportation in order to help you with their apparently very vital task. Go figure. Then again, corporations are known to be very, very cheap, so maybe they actually know about Mr. Briny. They know you're going to get free transportation anyways, and they just decide not to spare the expense, because, come on, we gotta make as much money as possible, and that means spending as little as possible, right? Well, let's set sail, and I actually really like what they do here. you don't just teleport to Dewford Town, you actually get in the boat and you sail across the water, allowing you to see everything on the route along the way, and then your dad calls you on the Pokénav because somehow he got your number. What, do they expect me to just backtrack all the way to the town he's in order to get his number? I wonder if you can do that, actually. Well, you probably can't, otherwise they wouldn't interrupt this nice and smooth boat ride. At any rate, we're about to dock in Dewford Town, and, Dewford Town's nice looking, but I question the logic in building a town on the sands. Wouldn't, like, the tide come and destroy the buildings? You know, there's this thing about life on the rock, people. You should probably take it a little more seriously. At any rate, there are items to find. First up, we can get a silk scarf for free right here. The silk scarf is the hold item that boosts the power of normal moves, which I guess might be fine. It'll give Grovyle a boost in quick attacks, I guess. And this random fisherman outside, he's not even in a building. You talk to him and you get the classic old rod. And what they have done with the fishing mechanics in this game is rather questionable, but at the moment we can only fish up Magikarps and Tentacools anyways, so not a whole lot going on there, but I suppose it's worth a demonstration anyways. I actually need to capture these Pokemon after all, even though I'm not going to show myself actually doing it. So you cast the rod, and now you have to actually input a button when the rod shakes in order to hook the Pokemon. So there's an element of timing, otherwise it gets away. You know, it was a lot nicer when all you had to do was cast the rod and wait, but now that there's an actual button timing, which doesn't even do anything, it doesn't matter how quickly you push the button or not, it just determines whether you're able to hook the Pokemon or not. Fishing just got a whole lot more annoying, and I don't really like it that much. So in this house is interesting. There's a bunch of people, and they apparently are obsessed with the idea of needing to study. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and it makes them all look like a bunch of weirdos, which is probably what hipsters actually are in reality. What's really going on is that the phrase "need study" is actually two randomized words. So when you write letters on mail in this game, which is a thing you can still do, instead of actually writing out a phrase of your own, you have to choose from a list of preset words, because need study picture books, what the heck? What they feared people would do is that if you could just type any word you wanted, you could type mean things, you could type profanities. So, of course, you just have an entire list now of predetermined terms that you can stick into letters, and also some other phrases throughout the game as well. Moving on from that, though, the Northern Beach has a couple of hidden items. First up, we have a heart scale, which is part of something that is both really cool and really annoying. I can't remember when we get to that, but we will get to that. This rock has a Stardust on it, which you can sell for some money, and on this corner is a single Pokeball. A single Pokeball, and that warrants making it a hidden item? Well, there are fishermen on the beach as well, in case you want to train against their swarms of Magikarp. And it annoys me too, because they're not even worth that much experience points. Give us some, like, Tentacools or something stronger than Magikarp at least. There's also a cave that we will need to explore later. When you first enter the cave, you can get HM05 from this guy, but you also have to have the gym badge from Dewford Town, conveniently enough, in order to use Flash. Now, you technically don't need Flash, it is not mandatory, but I'm gonna follow the game sequence of events and actually get the gym badge before coming in here, because honestly, you could ignore the badge completely and come back much later in order to crush this gym leader. But I'll face him right now. And hey, look what Granite Cave has, an old favorite coming back. Let's see if my luck holds, shall we? Toss a single Great Ball, and... oh, nope, it broke free and it's gonna teleport away. What, you thought I was gonna succeed on the first ball? I gotta mix it up in these playthroughs. I can't just show all of my successes. But if I am showing you that I am catching a Zubat here, that must mean I'm going to use it, right? Well, yes, I am going to use Zubat. I use Zubat in all 3 generations, can you believe it? I think that should be a tradition at this point. I sure hope Zubat is in Generation 4. It's gonna be in Generation 4. Let's be real here. Anyways, I decided to level up Torchic to level 16 to get its evolution and also another new move. The bird finally learned how to peck, go figure. I needed to get some experience here because I was thoroughly underprepared for the upcoming gym battle. Whether you think this game is easy or difficult, it definitely wants you to be prepared for what's coming. As for Torchic's evolution, Torchic evolves at level 16 into Combusken, a fire/fighting type. The first, annoyingly enough, of 3 consecutive generations of fire-fighting starters. But hey, Combusken is really awesome. Even though its status as a fire chicken is tempting me to make some really inappropriate jokes, apparently the developers intentionally tried to make the Torchic line ugly, which I have no idea where I actually got this from, so it's probably inaccurate, but on the off chance that it's true, tell that to the fan artists, if you know what I mean. Oh, and listen to this real quick. Even the pre-battle themes are a bop! That's amazing! So yes, we've entered the Doofer Gym, which is a fighting-type gym, so good thing Combusken now knows Peck, finally. The gimmick of this gym is that it starts out pitch black, with a little bit more light coming in each time you defeat a trainer. This might sound like that it's for a dark gym, but no, this is actually a fighting-type gym. The fact that it starts out pitch black is actually meant to make you wish for the move that this very gym's badge unlocks, i.e. Flash, which... interesting way of going about it, I guess. There wasn't much else to do in the town proper, so I decided to get the gym battle over with right away. After some preparation, of course. And you might not be able to see it that well, but the gym was overhauled for Emerald version yet again, and it looks a little bit different. But we will simply move on to the gym leader, known as Brawly, which is either a Dragon Ball Z reference, or some kind of joke involving a British umbrella. I have no idea. But he has 2 Pokemon. First up is Machop. They've got just about everything you would expect from a fighting type. Strong physical attacks, Karate Chop, which has a high chance of inflicting a critical hit, as you just saw, and they've also got a move called Bulk Up, which will increase their offense and defense even further. So I don't want them to set up at all. I'm gonna first hit them with Stun Spore and Leech Seed to slowly drain their health while the paralysis stops them from moving, and then I sent in Zubat, who, as it turns out, is double resistant to fighting moves, being poison/fighting, and knows a confusion move so you can turn their high offense against them. Isn't that fabulous? There are other ways of double resisting their moves as well. If you evolved Silcoon or Cascoon, both of their final forms are double resistant to fighting moves, and one of them even learns Confusion. So that is something you could do. I just didn't because I never properly researched what I'm going to be up against long before I actually take them on. Go figure. Come to think of it though, why do the bug and poison types resist fighting? I guess fighting types wouldn't want to throw their fists at something poisonous, and I guess bugs are so small that they can duck and dodge out of the way of flying fists very easily because, you know, punching something tends to work when the target is big enough that you can actually accurately punch it, right? But then again, bugs don't have massive evasion against fighting types, and no, I'm just pecking this Machop to death with Combusken. Peck is a great move to use here because flying type, of course. And the second Pokemon on Brawly's team is Makuhita, which you want to be careful with because Makuhita has a lot of bulk, and its ability, which is called, I kid you not, Thick Fat, makes it resist fire and ice attacks regardless of its type. And it also has Arm Thrust, as I have mentioned. I used a Makuhita against Roxanne, so you should know what you're up against, aside from that ability. Oh, and Brawly has Super Potions, what a surprise. Well, I guess I'm going to be here a while. We don't need to see any more from this version of the fight. So, Marshtomp actually has a lot of bulk. It can just plain go toe-to-toe with these fighting types. It doesn't need to worry about type advantages or anything at all. Just Mudshot them over and over. Mudshot, rather than lowering accuracy, lowers speed. So you'll even have the speed advantage real easy. Oh, and they also have Seismic Toss. That'll do a fixed damage amount, about like 17 or something, based on the enemy's levels. But yeah, this was really, really easy for my Sapphire playthrough. Marshtomp just plain has a lot of defenses that the other two don't. I'm starting to think that high defenses on the starter are what contributes to the starter solo runs being so easy. Of course, we'll still have the rival to worry about, so I do need to come up with something in order to deal with them better. And I'm not kidding when I say that facing these guys with high defense versus low defense makes a pretty huge difference. Also, your special attacks are probably good here because they don't have a lot of special defenses, which might make you think, oh, the Emerald version of this fight is going to be ridiculously easy because I just have to send in Ralts and use Confusion a bunch. Well, let's see how that actually plays out. Machop is probably going to go down very easily. In fact, it has a level nerf, so this will take 2 hits as opposed to 3. It's going to use Bulk Up, which doesn't mean a whole lot. You need to buff your special defense there, buddy. I could even use Double Team if I wanted to, but I'm not going to use Evasion quite yet. So Machop goes down, and Emerald version adds yet another Pokemon that is so incredibly inconsequential that I don't know what they were thinking when they made this. This is Meditite, and this particular Meditite has a move called Focus Punch. Focus Punch always goes second, however, if you hit the enemy before they use Focus Punch, they will just not be able to use it. They will lose focus. This means as long as you keep attacking, then Meditite will never be able to get its Focus Punch through, which is a good thing because Focus Punch actually deals a lot of damage. Even with Ralts resisting it, it would probably be a one-shot. But the thing is, this Meditite has no other attacking moves besides Focus Punch. So yeah, always select an attack move no matter how weak it is. On the flip side, if you need to switch out or use an item, then you're going to take that Focus Punch. So be wary of that. Meditite is also part Psychic, so Confusion is not going to do extra damage to him, which is probably alright because it makes it easier to flush out Brawly's Super Potions. If he wastes them here, he won't have them for Makuhita, which is where the real threat lies. Also, being able to inflict Confusion is also really, really funny. I keep waiting for one of these guys to hurt themselves in Confusion and get KO'd off of that, which would be really funny. Please do it. Please do it. Ah! Yes! You'll love to see it. Okay, brace yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for Makuhita. Probably not expecting anything to be different this time, but after I get this Confusion through and hope for it to inflict Confusion, that's a lot of damage, actually. He's got Bulk Up, so if you let him set up with this, it's not going to look pretty. But I'll hit him with another Confusion. That should... I hope that KOs, but it doesn't. But no, he's got Vital Throw, and Vital Throw is very powerful. But I should be able to get that last Confusion off, right? Well, no, because Makuhita comes with a Citrus Berry now, making this even more annoying for me. But I have a feeling that... Oh, please inflict Confusion and confuse yourself. Confuse yourself. Do it. Do it. Oh, no, he didn't. He's got Arm Thrust. Oh, well. Well, time for Grovyle to come in and finish the job. Gonna be completely honest, though, Ralts is still the MVP, even if Grovyle closes down the match here. I should be able to just Quick Attack, right? Well, no, because Brawly's got another Super Potion. That is so annoying. For some reason, it's more annoying when they do it to me than when I do it to them, stalling the match with Super Potions. Well, I suppose if he's using items, then it's fair for me to use them, right? I'll just try absorbing here, because Quick Attack would be extremely, extremely weak. Thanks to that Bulk Up setup. I could probably use Pursuit here as well, and thank goodness, now he's hitting himself in Confusion. And as I have stated in the past, Confusion damage is increased when the enemy has a higher attack score. So, this is going to hurt real badly. Oh, look at him. This is so sad. Ralts MVP, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, Brawly is defeated. We can now finally use Flash. We get a nice big payout. And we also get the TM for Bulk Up. That might come in handy later. Oh, and you can also get the gym leaders' phone numbers in Emerald version in case you want to call them for rematches as well, I think. Can you call them for rematches? It has been forever, but I'm sure I will find out eventually. Just another phone number on the contact list, I guess. Starting to look like a Discord friends list at this rate. Also, I just noticed, is that the badge for this gym on the wall there? That's actually pretty cool. But as you can see, the look of this place is a little bit different in Emerald version. Not that much. They decided to add a little bit more purple. Oh, and I nearly forgot, we no longer have to worry about disobedience from traded Pokémon, even though that's only really relevant to the Makuhita I have in Ruby version. Followed by a silent exchange of phone numbers. Can you call this a phone number? It's not really a phone. Anyways, we can now head back to the cave, and after teaching a Pokemon how to use Flash, I had a Hrm Ruby version as well, so I used it for this. You can't see the entire room, but you can at least see a little bit more. I think they made Flash mandatory in the remakes, so that's something. Ah yes, and there are some new Pokemon on the bottom floors of the cave. This is Hrm. This is our first Steel type in Generation 3. Steel would not be good against Brawly, of course, being weak to Fighting type and all, but they are very resilient, so raising an Hrm can be very useful later down the line. Although I am anticipating that this is going to be one of those Pokemon that requires a massive grind in order to get its final form. If only there was something to help out with that, but surely they wouldn't give me the EXP share this early in the game, would they? Well, there's also a strange-looking slope that we can't get up right now, so we'll have to come back later for that. Another encounter, and it is the second Steel type of Generation 3, Mawile, based on that one yokai with a mouth in her hair. That's pretty awesome. Unfortunately, Mawile is not worth anything at all in this game. Just not worth looking at least not until Generation 6. Wink wink, nudge nudge. That's relevant if you're playing the remake, but I am not. So I'm just gonna capture this, and then I will be on my way. It's a shame, really. I kind of like the design here. It's just, they really were struggling, I think, with the concept of what makes a Pokemon viable. Because Mawile just starts with Astonish, and like, what is Astonish? It's a weak ghost move. You can't use that against anything. Maybe they thought Mawile's ability, which is to cut the attack of the opposing Pokemon when Mawile enters the battle, would be enough. Nice ability, at least. Now then, let's see what else is in this cave. There is a stray Pokeball. Again, I don't know why they think these are worthy pickups. I mean, it makes sense for people to maybe drop an item or two down here, but still. Also, have I mentioned that the encounter rate in this cave is ridiculously high, and I should have brought repels as soon as I had gotten all the Pokemon I was after? Well, now that I have mentioned it, let's just run away from this additional Mawile and keep going. There are rocks that can be smashed once we have Rock Smash later. And there's another Aaron. Man, I just didn't want to edit out all of these encounters because that would take a while. There's so many of them. See? Look, another one! What is this? Well, here we can find an item that is not technically a hidden item because this rock stands out like a sore thumb. It's the Everstone, which is still not that helpful. I don't know why it's there. And also, there is a Pokemon that only appears in the Sapphire and Emerald versions. This is Sableye. Notably, Sableye has the Dark and Ghost type combo, which means in this generation, it has no weaknesses at all. And it's also immune to fighting moves, so this would be ridiculously good against Brawly, and I wish I had known it was down here. But then again, I would have had to navigate down here without Flash, so there you go. Sableye does in fact have a weakness in the remake because of the Fairy type's inclusion. Once you make it to the back of the cave, you finally find Steven Stone, which is who the letter is addressed to. He's interested in rare stones. Would you like an Everstone? I certainly don't want one, but if it's rare, maybe you'll like it. And at least he rewards us, unlike a certain other corporation who only rewards with more tasks. He gives us the TM for Steel Wing, which is a hint as to what sort of Pokemon he uses. I wonder why they would give us a hint. We could become the champion one day? Well, isn't that the most obvious thing to say? Steel Wing is pretty nice, although I don't know if I've got anything that could conceivably make good use of it. Now, here's something that's actually really cool. You can actually backtrack all the way to Rustboro City to let the president know that the letter has been delivered, and he will give you, I kid you not, the experience share. This early in the game, that's going to make future leveling so much easier, and I can use a lot more strategies thanks to that. Nice. Oh, and if we're going to backtrack to Rustboro City, then I may as well procure all of the items that I completely forgot about, including HM01. Yeah, the HM for Cut was just sitting in one of these buildings. You don't get it as part of the plot, so you could conceivably miss it. I don't think you need to cut trees anywhere in the game, but like, why would you just put it in a random building that the player might not decide to visit? I guess they're still trying to encourage players to go in every building and reward them for exploring, but that's such an important item, HM01. Also, you can go into the trainer school, which has its own unique music for some reason. But if you talk to the teacher, you can get the Quick Claw, which is another item that I'm kind of wishing that I had much, much sooner. Oh well, no use complaining about it now. Now that we have this, we can backtrack to a bunch of different areas to see what was behind all those cuttable trees. It's actually quite fascinating, so I will make a quick sweep in order to collect all of that. Also, you can head north from Rustboro. There's not a lot going on this route, but there is an item on the beach here. It is a super potion, which is probably at least somewhat worth your time to go out of your way to get. And also, while I was leveling, Shroomish learned Mega Drain. Wish I had leveled up to teach him that one too. Mega Drain is, of course, better than Absorb. I didn't need to tell you that, but I did anyways, because I'm so nice. Alright, so, I have taught one of my many Zigzagoon how to cut trees, so we just have to navigate through a bit of a maze. Sometimes I think there are hidden items in those nooks and crannies, so I do tend to check them out myself. If you cut more trees, you can avoid the trainers, or fight them for more experience points. I don't know what that sign says, probably a lame clue about something. But your real prize are these 4 berry trees and the item here. Now, what berries are here? Well, first, the item is an ether, which is fine, I guess. I still don't use those. These berries are interesting. These are Pinap berries. They do absolutely nothing. They don't have any effect on your Pokemon, but they are used for something. And there are more Chesto berries, which I have talked about already. Good to have a few more of those in case I fall asleep. Which I probably will while I'm grinding, that's for sure. So after defeating a pair of trainers over an Emerald version, with some amusing lines no less, we find that the item they were guarding in Emerald version is a potion? A potion? You needed to guard a potion with a double trainer ambush? Oh, and you'll never guess who I ran into on the way out. Are you ready for this? It's the immortal legend himself, none other than Youngster Joey. And he switched his Rattata to a Machop. Obviously, this is not the same Joey from the Johto region, but I like to imagine, right? Maybe he's actually a super secret legendary trainer, and he resets his collection every season like Ash does in the anime. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, there is something to be said about quitting your current run and then re-rolling, right? Just so long as you don't actually, like, abandon all those Pokemon. That would be kind of awful of you to do. I hope nobody does that! So you cut this tree and you get an X accuracy. That's alright, I guess. We can also cut through a couple bushes in Petalburg Woods. So cut past this tree right here. And there will be an NPC who has an item for you. And I really wish I had found this one sooner. If you have the badge from Rustboro Gym, you will get the Miracle Seed, which powers up the grass moves of the Pokemon holding it. Oh boy, Shroomish would have loved that. Oh well. There's another Great Ball just lying on the ground here. Nice to get another one. Saves you 600 bucks. Or whatever the currency is. And I am sure that I can make it out of the forest without getting an encounter. So I will get this X attack. I did in fact get out of the forest without an encounter. How amazing. Surely I jinxed myself. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's all the items we can acquire, so I've returned to Dewford Town in order to save the game, and I will see you next time for more of Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. See ya!